Everybody, welcome to another episode of Swing Batter, brought to you by BadderSports, where we buy high and sell low. Dad, speaking of buying high, do you got one for us?
I do, and this has to do with the great competitive nature of the Red Sox versus the Yankees. And we have a reverse of the Babe Ruth debacle. This time, it was the Red Sox actually sending a wounded bird over to the Yankees, and they paid huge money for him. We're going to talk about Jacoby Ellsbury.
This is like the Trojan horse of talent dubs.
The Mike Trout before Mike Trout.
Hardly.
He was not known as the greatest guy in baseball, that's true. But for the Red Sox, he was a pretty flashy guy. He did some flashy things. He was very quick, and everybody was enamored by his abilities. So how do we get here?
Well, that he was. 2009, he batted .301 and stole 70 bases. Who wouldn't want that guy on your team? In 2010, he got injured, but when he returned in 2011, not known as a home run hitter, he hit 32 dingers. His batting average dropped. Batting average was .321. 32 homers, .321. 3 different years he stole. Listen to 4 years of stolen bases for Jacoby with the Red Sox. 39, 50, 52, and 70. At one time, he had played 179 consecutive games without making an error. So you got to get a good average, a lot of stolen bases, great fielder. He had moved his salary from $380,000 up to $9 million, and he felt it was time to go shopping. His age? 31.
Hey,
So
now.
Hold on. So as the sports manager, where do you think they met this time to go over the new terms of a deal? Because you're in New York and Boston. Did he just go in between both stadiums and have a bidding war right there in the plaza?
And to my client, Jacoby, you did miss a whole year with injuries. We got to see how much we can get now. And they did pretty good.
I think they did marvelous. I'm very proud of Jacoby. I don't have any ill will for this man. He played great with Boston. He gave great memories. I remember. That's all right. All right. I remember when this happened because the Boston fans were very upset. They were very, very upset.
Well, they should have been. They wanted to retain him as their leadoff hitter. They were cautious about the years and the money that Ellsbury was seeking because his agent was none other than Scotty. No contract is too high for me, Boris. And they knew his injury history that was better than anybody, so they really kind of decided not to go ahead and break the bank on him.
Well, they had paid him $9 million, and when they heard the Yankees offer, it was like not shopping at this store.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like, your ex has bad habits, and they're like, I'm going to stay single. I'm not going to go back with that one. So the Mariners were also taking a look. They were pretty heavily interested in Ellsbury at the time. And they wanted him kind of to be the spark plug at the top of their lineup and just to kind of remind the rest of the country that Seattle had a baseball team. But then when they saw the Yankees offer, they basically said, no, we're not doing that. San Francisco Giants also were taking a look. They had their own World Series win in 2012, so they wanted to keep the dynasty rolling. They were interested, but like most things related to the San Francisco Giants, they said we're not paying that much for a guy that's got that history of injuries. We know better than to bet on a one-legged horse in the Kentucky Derby. And so they passed on that one. And then the Yankees came in with this deal. This is the motherlode of all Scott Boras contracts. 5 years enough for a 31-year-old? 6 years? How about 7? Let's go 7 years for a 31-year-old. Let's sign this guy until he's 38 years old. And let's sign him for 7 years, $153 million. Why? because Brian Cashman has the most job security of any GM on the planet because of 4 years in the 90s. That's why. That's exactly why. So this whole salary breakdown comes out like this. He's getting $21,142,857 for all 7 years. He has a full no trade clause. Like, you didn't just give him the money. You put on cement shoes and jumped in the water with him. That's what you did. And then, but we're going to give ourselves an out. In the last year, we can buy out his contract for $5 million if we want him to just walk away. Amazing discount you're giving yourselves there. Huge. But
last year only, though.
Right. Just the last year.
So when he's turning or will be 38.
Correct. So, how did it turn out? Tell us. Do tell.
Okay. Jacoby
Urban Meyer's little brother.
He changed his name. That's how it turned.
Yeah.
Jacoby Ellsbury played 4 of the 7 years. It seems when you sign a 31-year-old who's already missed 1 full season, injuries might be in the future. He got to play 4 of the 7 seasons. His batting average was between .257 and .271 in those 4 years. In other words, his high batting average with the Yankees was equal to his lowest with the Red Sox. Stolen bases. Remember those big numbers? His stolen bases in those 4 years ranged between 20 and 39. 5th year, he got a hip oblique injury. It changed to a hip ailment. And finally, torn labrum in the hip. The end result is he didn't play at all in 2018. So, $153 million for this. If it was a car, you bought a lemon.
It gets even better because we know how much those Yankees like to talk about all those playoff wins and all those rings they have. Every time you mention it, they're like, count the rings, count the rings. So what's a big deal for the Yankees? It's your playoff performance. Guess how many hits Jacoby Ellsbury had for the New York Yankees in the 10 at-bats that he had in the playoffs?
I can hardly wait. What?
0. He didn't get 1 hit. Not 1. He had 3 extra at-bats, but 2 extra ones. But he walked, so those don't count. But wow. Just wow. Then a moment of silence for that playoff stat.
What's wild about this is again, you're going back to early on his career. He's beloved by Boston because he batted .438 in the World Series. I know it's against the Rockies and it really shouldn't matter, but he was fantastic in the playoff. Like, when you had him, he had the pedigree. He was tested in the playoffs. He made Boston really happy. So the Yankees are like, we got this guy from them. We stole one of their heroes, one of their World Series tycons, if you will. And this turned out terribly. But again, to your point, Dad, or Todd, about Mr. GM of the year, as always, when the Yankees miss, it's not like they're sitting there going, how do we afford another player? I'm sure in 2018 they signed somebody else and had no problem and nobody worried about it and nobody cared that this guy was off, gone, never to return. So the Yankees have a large bank account that they can always go back to the coffers and say, I think we're ready to pony up on another player.
Do you want to hear something even better? The Yankees actually filed a grievance against Ellsbury. They claimed he'd use unauthorized doctors during his rehab. And so, Dad, you said you went with Jacoby Myers. I think you were thinking of the law firm, Jacoby and Meyer. This is probably subtly like what you're thinking of. Out here, it's like Celino and Barnes. So they had this thing where, like, he's trying to overthrow the Yankees medical staff, which are like, no, you can play. And he's like, no, but I saw these doctors. Yes, they were over there in that back alley, but they totally told me I can't play because I have this hip thing.
And I would say that if you're the Yankees and you're upset about this, you're hoping that he pays money for lawyers. But MLB players union is very strong. So those lawyers come out, like if you're going to sue a player for doing this, they're going to come in a strong stand for the player. So that's exactly what happened here. And again, the Yankees did not win this.
It really, you get paid $26 million to go away, and that's after making $42 million for basically eating a snow cone.
So you're saying that the team took the opt-out. That's what you're telling me.
They did.
Okay.
So the Red Sox have to delight in the fact that they got a good Jacoby Myers. The Red Sox have to take...
We did it. We inceptioned into his brain.
The Red Sox have to take a lot of pride in the fact that they got a really good Jacoby Ellsbury, and the most they ever paid him was $9 million. The Yankees got a weak facsimile, and they paid him over $20 million for 7 seasons. So it's like, what's our saying? Buy high? No, buy high, sell low. It's happened here.
Yeah. I mean, you didn't just buy high. Like, you buyed it. You buyed past the peak.
Yeah. I think it's like buying a used boat. No one ever thinks those things are worth that much. That's why they always build new ones. In this case, this is what you got. So anyhow, that's Jacoby. He's pretty great. I've always enjoyed him. I like center fielders that run around a lot, get stolen bases. I thought his time with the Yankees was very interesting. And Dad, you're 100% right. The Red Sox were so happy about this and how it turned out. They were not happy when it occurred. So as the saying goes from BadderSports, buy high, sell low, and that's how you get some swing batter magic. I'm your host, Brendan. Thanks, guys.